Hey everyone, it's Bethany, and in this tutorial we are going to be talking about Cricut Joy cards and how we can take our card, open it up, and write inside. So a lot of you had some questions about how we actually write a cute little sentiment inside using the Cricut Joy pen, and I think this is a really fun tutorial because if you're like me, I love fonts and I think it's a really great way to have your pen do all of the writing for you. You can create a really pretty font and it'll just make a really pretty polished message inside. So if you missed my previous tutorial, we did Cricut Joy cards from start to finish, and I'll link it right up here. We made a couple cards and it featured some cutting and some use of the actual pen tool as well, and it was a really fun little tutorial, so go ahead and watch that. But we'll also be making a Joy card from start to finish in this tutorial too, because I do want to show you how you can make a complete card from start to finish with the sentiment inside, because you're actually going to start with the sentiment. So there's going to be a specific order that you're going to want to do this in. Now, I do also want to say that there are probably many ways that you can do this, but this is the way that I found works for me. So I'm just going to share what works best for me. Feel free to tweak the process to make it work for you. If you find a better way, then that's amazing, but I'm just sharing what I like to do. So for this tutorial and for this craft, what you're going to need is the Cricut Joy and then the Cricut card mat. So this is a wonderful little mat that's used just for card making. You're also going to need their little insert cards. You can also pre-make these if you want, but the little pack comes with all of the cards already pre-folded and they're all ready to go. They also come with envelopes and they come with the little inserts that go behind the little design to pop through the little windows. So for this one, I pulled out the nice blush color, and I actually pre-cut my own little insert because if you watched my last tutorial with the Cricut Joy cards, I like to skip the pre-made inserts and opt for a fun little pattern with scrapbook paper. It does tell you the exact measurements of the inserts, so they're 4 inches by 5.25 inches, so you can just cut down a little insert to the exact size and do that. Okay, so you're also going to need a scraper tool and the Cricut Joy pen. A spatula tool comes in handy and a weeding tool will come in handy as well. And so what we're going to do first is we are going to measure the card. So it actually tells you the measurement on the box. So the cards are 4.25 by 5.5. But just so you know exactly what I'm measuring, just so it's visual for you guys. So 4.25 by 5.5. So what we're going to do first is we are not going to cut the design first. We are actually going to open up the card first, and we are going to write inside before we do our design. So what you'll do is just open the card up, fold it the other way, and then you're going to place your card inside the little card mat. So now the card mat has a top layer and a bottom layer. It's like a little sleeve right here. So what you'll do is you'll slide this bottom layer underneath, and then you'll place the top right on top, just like that. Oh goodness, I forgot to read. I was going to say that lost its stick mighty quickly. Make sure you take off your little protective sheet and keep it with you, because once you're done using your mat, you'll put it right back on top, so it just protects that stickiness and maintains it. So goodness, I panicked a little bit. I thought there's no way I lost that stickiness that quickly. Okay, so I'm folding it over. And now I have the inside of the card face up. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to hop into Cricut Design Space and we are going to write out our little sentiment for inside of the card. Then we'll come back and I'll show you how you can get that written. And then what we'll do is we will work on designing the outside of the card. All right, so let's hop into Cricut Design Space.
Okay, so what we're going to do first in Cricut Design Space is we're going to go over to the Shapes box and we're going to add a square. And what we'll do is we'll just pull it over and we're going to click Unlock. So we are going to use the measurements that we measured for our card. So the measurements of the card were 4.25 by 5.5, so we'll just type those in, and then we'll go ahead and just make this a white color so we can write on top of it and really see it. So now what we're going to do is this is just resembling the inside of our card, so it'll just kind of help us with sizing our writing. That way we can get everything just sized appropriately, and so it'll look really nice once we get it inside the card. So now what we're going to do is we are going to go to the text box and we are going to start adding our text. So one thing that's really a good idea is when you go go up to your fonts, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to click the filter button, and then you are going to, let me clear these for you, you're going to want to click writing. So this will just help narrow down the fonts that are a good candidate for the writing with the pen. So if you're not sure which fonts to use when you're using your pen in your Cricut Joy, these are good candidates, so it just helps if you add that filter. So now I can search fonts because I know the one that I will be using, and it's called Be Mine. And now what I'll do is I'll just start writing my text out. Okay, so this is the little sentiment that I was going to put in mine, especially when we're all being safe at home right now. It's just, I'm feeling like I'm really missing my friends at times, so I'm just really excited for seeing them and being able to just enjoy a simple coffee together once everything calms down. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go up to alignment, and I'm going to say center. That way it just centers everything down the middle. It's just very visually pleasing. So I'm just going to size this down a little bit, and then I'm just going to, come on, I'm going to drag it over to my card. Okay, so that sizing actually looks really nice. So now the only thing I need to do is I need just to sign my name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to text again, and I'll type my name. And I'm also going to add a little heart. So let me put my name on here. And then instead of saying love, I'm just going to have a little heart, and I'll go over here to the shapes. I'm going to add a heart. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to line type, and I'm going to say draw. So now it's going to draw that heart instead. So I'm just going to size this down and drag it over. And I think that looks really sweet. I might make that just a little smaller and then put it over just a little bit. Okay, so that is what I'm going to put inside of my card. So now what we're going to do is we are going to attach all of these together so that they cut, or I'm sorry, I'm so used to cutting, but it's going to be drawing. So we're going to attach everything together so they draw in this order, and everything will be spaced just like this. So we'll go over here, and after we've clicked our heart, our sentiment, and then our signature, we will just say attach. Okay, so now those are all attached, and now what we can do is we can hide this little rectangle. So you don't want to delete it, because what you want to do is you're going to want to save this project. I just saved mine and named it Joy Card Inside, because then every time you come in here, your card is already pre-made, and all you have to do is just change out your sentiment. So don't delete it, just hide it, but you'll want to hide it because you don't need to cut out a rectangle or anything, so you don't need this anymore. This was just for sizing purposes, but definitely keep it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go over here and make sure the Joy is selected, and we're going to click Make It. Now what we're going to do is we are going to tell it we are going to do on the card mat, so we'll click that one and say Done. And now what you're going to do is you are just going to kind of center your little sentiment inside the card. So now remember, your card does not go down this entire way. The card stops about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. So it stops about right here. And you guys will see when you put your card on your card mat. So just kind of look at your card mat while you're doing this. So you'll just drag it down, but you're not going to completely center it. Come on. So I'm just going to drag it down just a little bit, and I'll probably stay right about there. Okay, so I'm going to center that again, knowing my card is going to stop right about here. So I'm just going to center that the best that I can based on that kind of visual. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to verify that we're doing it on the card mat. And then what we'll do is we'll click continue. And now it's just going to locate our Joy via Bluetooth. So we'll wait for it to do that, and then we can get to drawing. So now we'll just browse our materials. Let me see if I can click into popular. It should be right there. We're just doing the insert card cardstock. And then what we're going to do is we are going to load our pen into the little clamp so that it can write. So we'll go ahead and switch cameras, and we will go ahead and load everything in, and we'll start writing. Then once we're done writing, we can start decorating the card and doing the cut on the front.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to open up the Joy, and remember we do have the card inside out, so we have the inside facing up, and we'll just go ahead and auto load it. So now it's going to pull in and make sure the mat is all aligned, and then once it's ready, what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and take out the blade, and just set that to the side, and then you can insert the pen. So I just like to keep the cap right on top so I don't lose it, and then you simply drop the pen in and close the clamp. It's that easy. So now what we can do is click go on our device, and now it's going to write out our little sentiment. So this is really fun to watch. I really like watching it do the writing. Looks like it's going to start with my name at the bottom. It's always funny to see what the Joy, or any cutting machine really, what they start with when it comes to writing. So it's getting, oh, it looks really cute. I like that font. So again, that font was called Be Mine. I just stumbled upon that actually when writing this out and kind of preparing this. And I've never used this font before, and it's really pretty. Okay, so now it's telling me it wants me to load a different pen for the heart, but I'm just going to go ahead and click go because I intend it to be the same color. So I'm just going to allow it to cut the heart out of the same pen. But that would be a really cute idea if you changed out the color of your pen for a different one. So the text in Design Space, it must have been that my heart text color was just a little bit different, and that's why it probably was making me want to switch my pens. So now it's all done, so I can click unload, and now we have it written inside the card. So one thing I did note is that, remember when we were allocating for a little bit of missed space here? Well, we did a great job because now we have pretty even space up above, but we didn't really allocate for this little space on the side. So you'll just want to nudge that over just a little bit. I mean, that's only 1/4 of an inch. So quite honestly, this looks beautiful to me, and I am going to keep it and even send it out just as is. It's a hair to the right, but you know what? It's beautiful. It's going to work out fine. But I wanted to mention it just so you know, because we did just, make sure that we allocated for a little spacing here. So we just need to allocate for a little spacing on the side as well. So now I'm just using my little slice tool just to kind of grab my card. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull that out, and then I'm going to just fold it in. So now the inside of our card is written on, and it's so cute. Quite honestly, I feel like I have pretty good handwriting, especially because I used to teach, so I'm very used to like writing as best as I can. But can anyone write this beautifully? I mean, I've even taken handwriting little courses, you know, those little font books, and my goodness, this is beautiful. I don't know that even with a ton of practice I could be that perfect. So I love the idea of being able to choose fonts and be able just to let the Cricut do all of that hard work for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold it this way now, and now we're going to create the outside of our card. So the reason why you want to do the inside first is because the outside does a lot of intricate cutting, and I don't want you to do all that intricate cutting and then put it in here and have the cuts snag or anything when you're placing it inside of the card mat. So I just think it's best practice just to do the inside of your card first. That way you can just place it in like this, and then your little sentiment will be inside, and then you can lay it down just like you would to make the card. So now let's pop right back into Cricut Design Space. I'll show you the card we're going to do, and we'll get that all cut out.
Okay, so now we're back in Cricut Design Space. So again, I'm going to save this project. That way when I need to make another card, I have everything all ready to go. I already have the square already and everything, so, or I guess rectangle. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to my home, and I'm going to scroll down here, and I'm just going to go to Creative Cards and View All. Now you want to make sure your Joy is selected. That way this option pops up because these are Joy projects. So I'm just going to scroll down, and I'm looking for one. I think it's called Conversation Hearts. I saw it last time and I loved it. Here it is. So I'm just going to click on this, and then I am going to say make it. So everything is pre-made, and we are going to, let's see, we're going to save. Okay, so the other project was saved, and now this is going to be a new project. Hopefully I did that right. So now what we're going to do is it takes us all the way to the Make It screen. It bypasses the canvas because everything's already pre-done. So now all we're going to have to do is just slip our card mat into the machine and get cutting. So now we'll just click Continue. And again, we're just going to select Insert Card Cardstock, and then what we'll do is we will replace the pen with the blade, and then we will get to cutting.
Okay, now, so what we'll do is just take this pen out, and put the cap right back on, and then we can just drop the blade right back in and shut the clamp. And now again we have the top of the card all ready to go and it's all inserted on the mat, and we will just let it auto load. Again, it'll pull it in and make sure everything is aligned, and then it will start cutting. So then everything again is on your device, so you're going to click go on either your phone or your iPad or your desktop. So once that is clicked, then everything will start cutting. Okay, so now it's all done and it's coming back out, and then we will just click unload. And then it's all finished, so we'll just shut the Joy. And this is where I like to use my scraper tool again. So I guess it's more of a spatula tool. So I just kind of go and I act as if I am peeling up cookies from a cookie sheet. And I'm sorry if that makes you craving cookies, but that is exactly what it feels like. So this just helps prevent the card from curling or ripping, especially when your mat is so brand new. You want to be really careful because that cardstock is really stuck on there. So what we can do is just slowly slice those up. And now you better believe I'm going to go make some chocolate chip cookies after this video, because cookies have been said, so I think it's just appropriate that we all have some cookies. What do you guys think? Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're simply going to slide this right out, and then you're left with the little pieces right on your mat. So now we can just set that mat to the side, and then we're going to take our little insert. Again, you can use the inserts that come with the Joy card pack, but I like to just create my own. I think they're really fun when you can add a little bit of pattern behind. So what you're going to do is you're going to simply open up the card, and you're going to face it whichever way you want. If you have double-sided paper, then that's even more fun, because then the inside is a little fun too. And you're just going to place them into those 4 little slots. Make sure it's all down. Cute. And then you have your little card. That looks really fun and sweet. So now that's exactly how you would, write inside of your card, and it's all done, and it looks beautiful. Again, you might want to just bump over this little text to the left a little bit when you're in that little preview screen in Cricut Design Space. But other than that, I think that looks really pretty. So the takeaway is I would recommend doing the inside first and then the outside. That way, once this delicate, beautiful outside is done, you're not having to place it back inside the card mat, and you're not, making sure you're not hurting or I guess tearing or anything your card. So that's how I would do it. Again, I know there's a lot of different ways to do all of these things, and that's just the beautiful part about crafting, is there's so many different routes to get to the finish line. So if you find a way that works better for you, then totally do it that way, but this way definitely worked for me. Now when you're cleaning your card mat, one thing that I do is I just lightly take my little scraper tool and I just kind of scrape the little pieces off. It's really quick, and I just do it lightly, just not to disrupt the mat, but it's just a nice quick way, and then you can just set this over your trash can and then get it all placed in there. So that's a nice quick way to do it. Alright guys, if you're having fun with Cricut Joy and you still have some questions, I will pop up my Cricut Joy playlist in the corner here. I have a ton of videos on the Joy, and I would love, if you guys are brand new to the channel, I'd love for you to subscribe so you guys can see what's coming to the craft channel next. And please leave me a comment. Tell me what you guys are up to. Tell me if you're making cards, and I would love to hear what everybody's working on. I feel like I'm definitely in the crafting mode right now, so it's always fun to hear what everybody else is doing too. So drop me a comment if you found this helpful. Then please give it a like and make sure you're subscribed, because there's some fun things coming up, especially in the next couple days, and I don't want you to miss out. All right, everyone, have a wonderful weekend and happy Easter.